Man, winning the last game of the season on the final day of 2025 sure would be great.
Happy Tuesday and welcome into the PHNX Sun Devils show live from El Paso, of course, presented by Branded Bills. Make sure you head to brandedbills.com and use that code BBPHNX for 15% off your first order. I'm Anthony Totri, joined as always by the one, the only old dog legs himself, Erik Ruby. And then we've got the Deli Man still behind the Mac, making all of the magic happen. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. We are officially less than 24 hours away from kickoff for the final Arizona State football game of the 2025 season. Rubus, a ton to get into, obviously, opt-outs, injuries, etc., key players, predictions, blah, 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 everything that Kenny Dillingham had to say at his press conference this morning as well. But first and foremost, man, I just want to give you a round of applause and a thank you for taking over the ship, driving the car while I've been out for what feels like a very, very extended period of time.
At least a couple months is what it's felt like. It's good to hear your voice. Not something I thought I'd ever say, but it's true now. But yeah, the passenger princess is more than happy now to be sitting in the passenger seat and picking out the playlist and looking out the window as the driver has finally returned from going and getting milk for a month.
Yeah, you're lucky. You're lucky I came back with milk, to be completely
I'm glad.
honest.
You couldn't miss El Paso, man.
No, absolutely not.
You needed the milk for the Frosted Flakes.
Absolutely. I've been itching and scratching to get right back here to El Paso, a place that I last visited the last time Arizona State was in the Sun Bowl. I want to say 2019 when they took on NC State. But obviously, this team looks a lot different. There is actually one familiar face from that 2019 Sun Bowl still on this Arizona State roster. Any guesses, Rufus, on who it is?
Sean Aguano?
No, Anthony Cooper. Anthony Cooper.
Wait, no, get out of here. You're lying to me.
It was his first game. It was his first game played. Was the 2019 Sun Bowl.
What?
No.
Yep. Wait. We
have lived entire lives, and Anthony Cooper is still on this Arizona State roster.
Bro, you're lying to me.
No, I'm not. His final game and his first game are going to both be here in El Paso, Texas in the Sun Bowl. Isn't that crazy?
You are so lying to me right now.
I'm not lying to you, dude. I wish I was lying to you. I really do. Because it blows my mind that Anthony Cooper is still here playing.
Oh, my God.
It's unbelievable. It truly is unbelievable. And the funny part is, because of the opt-outs, because of the injuries, because of the transfer portal, I think Anthony Cooper could have an impact in tomorrow's game. I think there's a reality there. It's unbelievable. It's wild. We'll get into everything as it relates to the actual Sun Bowl. But like I mentioned off the top, we did get the luxury of hearing from Kenny Dillingham one final time. Prior to the kickoff of the Sun Bowl, he addressed a number of things, Erik. And in all honesty, I think when we're talking about the Sun Bowl, it's been tough. It's been tough to really sink your teeth into this game because there's been so much discussed off the field, right? About Kenny Dillingham, about the Michigan stuff, about his contract, about, what is Arizona State going to look like in the future in today's day and age of college football? And I hate to continue to take away from the actual game, which I promise we will get into a ton. But I think as it relates to the fan base and for you, talking about this program, talking about where Arizona State is at the end of the third season with Kenny Dillingham at the helm. We know you started off with 3-9, and then you got the magical season last year, winning this conference in the Big 12, going to the college football playoff and not going the way that you wanted, but still a magical season nonetheless. And then you go into this season where I think it's safe to say that we both agree that maybe expectations in and of themselves weren't necessarily lived up to. But nonetheless, everybody's focus has been on this program. Everybody's focus has been on Kenny Dillingham. And he was asked today just what the boots on the ground reaction has kind of been like in his own personal life about the actual extension. And I think maybe everybody's biggest question is, has anybody written Arizona State a $20 million check?
There was no reaction because it was never about me. We didn't have like a little special he's staying celebrate. No, we just carried on. Like, it's not about me. Football, college football is not supposed to be about the coach. It's supposed to be about the players. So I tried to make it as much about the players. Now, there are times that I have to say things in order to try to help the players. Oh, yeah, that's also my job. And not everybody likes what I say all the time, right? But I don't care, because if it helps my players, I'm going to say it. And nobody's wrote that check yet. But, there has been unbelievable interest coming in, and that was the goal. The amount of people that have reached out, how can I help, how can I help, how can I help, has gone up. And that just helps our players, that helps our staff, that helps our university. So if I have to say things that people don't like, and somebody randomly in a random state doesn't like what I say, I don't care, because I don't know them, right? And the people that I want to impact are the people I know. That's who I care about. And if I got to do something to help those guys in our team and the people that I'm around, I'll do it. I'll say what I need to say to help those people get what they want to get.
I mean, we knew this, right? We knew Kenny Dillingham was a player's coach through and through. I think the most impactful part of that whole statement is that there is more interest, I think now more than ever, Erik, in really trying to continue to elevate this program, regardless of maybe a $20 million check still floating out there somewhere in Phoenix, Arizona.
It takes a while to write that many zeros on a check. And maybe they're trying to find like the really big one, like the really big goofy one.
Or just like a nice check.
Yeah, it's got to be the right kind of, aesthetic if you're going to be giving $20 million.
100%.
No, this reminds me of a conversation I had with Gene Smith, who I had on while you were gone, former Arizona State AD, Ohio State AD. And he was one of the people who felt like Kenny could have voiced that in a different way. But I followed up and I said, do you think that authenticity will actually end up possibly getting him better results? He said, yeah, I do. Because you might not like it, or it might be a little abrasive, or it might be a little bit different, but that's what makes Kenny Dillingham special. And I thought that was a really interesting perspective, because this is a guy who obviously understands the game. I mean, he was the AD at Ohio State in 2024, right? So sure, it's changed a lot, but he saw a lot of that change while he was in that driver's seat. And to be able to acknowledge that maybe it's not how you would do things, but that it could still be effective, I think is what is kind of making Kenny Dillingham so special. And look, at the end of the day, we talk about him relating to the players and the staff. If my coach is going to go out there and try to get me $1 million because he's going to cut a check for $20 million and he's being straight up, like, I like that guy. I don't care. Like he said, I don't care if other people who aren't here don't like him. The people who are here and the people who want to be here, they really like him.
Yeah. I mean, look, we can't spend weeks at that point in time talking about how Kenny Dillingham is different, right? Not taking the Michigan job because he's from Arizona, because he loves Arizona State, right? We can't spend all that period of time talking about him being his own character, his own personality in college football, and then immediately flipping on him 48 hours later saying, oh, we need you to word this differently, right? Yeah. In terms of the call to the fan base, call to donors, call to alumni, to really get the money into this program that's needed for Arizona State to be ultra competitive year over year. This is not just a one-year cycle. This is not like you just do what Texas Tech did. You pour $40 million into your program 1 year and then boom, that's it. You can go back to spending the $20.5 million of revenue share. That's not how this works in college football. And odds are it's only going to continue to go up as long as there aren't any specific, rules and guidelines to this whole thing. So I love the fact that not only did Kenny say what he said when he said it But I love the fact that he doubled down. I love the fact that today it was more so with a room full of media, some media that he knew, some media that he didn't, right? Some from right here in El Paso, some that cover the Duke Blue Devils, that I'm sure this is a different taste, right? Than dealing with Manny Ramirez over at Duke. Like this is something as it relates to Kenny Dillingham at Arizona State, that he is a very unique guy. He's a unique coach. And to be able to have your coach go up there, at a podium and say, you know what, like, I may not always say it the perfect way. I may not always say it the way that, that the PR wants me to say it, or that the administration wants me to say it. But if I got to say something uncomfortable or in a way that maybe people aren't used to hearing to get the most from my players, then I'm going to do that. And as a fan, I think that's exactly what you want to hear from your head coach.
Don't worry, Chad. You guys didn't miss anything. The legendary outfielder for the Red Sox did not get hired.
Yeah, there you go. I knew the moment it left my mouth, it was wrong. I knew.
Yeah, you could tell that wasn't wrong. Just a name mispronunciation.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. Manny Diaz is the Duke head coach.
Yes. Totri, I think a lot of the points of what you said are good, besides obviously the Ramirez Diaz mix up. I think kind of on top of this is, if Kenny Dillingham was the head coach in Michigan, was the head coach at Alabama, was the head coach at Penn State, he wouldn't need to talk like this, right? I think the reason why you're seeing him say things like this, and the reason why we've seen him do this, it's always the long game with him. I mean, this guy got an extension and immediately said, we need better facilities, right? But he's like saying it kind of like, breadcrumbing it, like, hey, what do we need? Oh, we need this. Oh, we need that. Oh, we should do this. Oh, we should do that. And he's gotten results because this is a different university than the other ones who are willing to put in 20, 30, 40, 50 million in the football program at the drop of a hat. Like, it's a different animal to succeed here. And he understands that. You want to get $20 million from the local fan base and from some of the big time spenders at ASU. You don't just go behind the scenes and ask for it and get it, like Alabama, like Penn State, like Virginia Tech now at this point. No, you got to put some pressure on it. You got to play the long game. And he understands that. He's been playing the long game since he got here. Like CJ Fight on the field, that's the long game, right? Off the field, getting his assistant coaches $10 extra million in his contract negotiations, that's the long game. Getting a new football facility that will double as a tailgate experience, that's the long game. It's just another thing in there where if he were to go around and be like, yeah, I shouldn't have said that, that's not going to get him $20 million.
No. And it would almost, like, knowing Kenny, it would feel weird, right? It would feel inauthentic to hear him say it in the cookie cutter way. And Sharon puts it, I think, really, really good in a comment saying, I remember Kenny saying once that the best advice he received when he was younger was to not be afraid to be authentically himself. And I think that's something that he said even at his introductory presser, right? Where he was crying and saying, you know what, like, this is who I am. Wear his heart on his sleeve. Like, he is always going to be the same guy every single day. And I think whether that's a coach, whether that is a recruiter, as a fundraiser, I think you've started to see that at Arizona State. And Erik, kind of shifting gears, I think that is going to be part of when we look 5 to 10 years from now, and we can confidently still say we're talking about Kenny Dillingham as a coach at Arizona State for a number of reasons. Like, I think part of the reason why we're going to be talking about potentially sustained success is because Kenny Dillingham is who he is, right? The way that he is. He's authentically himself, regardless of the way that college football is going to change or evolve or maybe even devolve at a certain point with rules and guidelines. One thing is for sure is Kenny Dillingham is a builder, right? He is a player's coach and he's a program builder. And our very own Shane Dieffenbach today at that press conference with Kenny asked him, how is he going to continue to build this culture? How is he going to maintain this culture when, in all honesty, you're losing a big piece of it with a lot of these seniors, a lot of these grad students being out of eligibility and moving on with their lives, whether that be in the league or something else, just because they're based, they're out of eligibility. And Kenny Dillingham gave a really solid answer on the plan and the focus to continue building and establishing a culture for the Sun Devils.
Yeah, I think we got to bring in the right guys. We got to bring in guys who love football. Point blank, love football. Got to love football. Yeah, absolutely got to love it. Can't be a hobby. It's got to be a passion. It's got to be what you wake up and you're like, you call your parents or whatever you do, right? And then you're like, what am I doing in football today? And then what am I doing in school and academics? But you got to love football. So we got to keep recruiting guys that absolutely are obsessed with the game of football. They have a passion for it. They want to play. I mean, you look at a guy, like Watley. Watley just loves football, man. He loves it. Year one, was there a lot of passion behind the love? Oh, yeah, there was a lot. Year two, there was still that passion. It was controlled. There's a lot of football guys. Miles Rouser was like that. I could go on the list of the seniors that are leaving. Jordan Crook, Prince Dorba, Elijah O'Neal. I don't want to read everybody's name out. I'll stick to defense so nobody gets hurt, right? But there are just so many guys who just love the game. And when you love the game, good things happen. And I think that's going to be our greatest challenge, is making sure we continue to recruit kids who absolutely love the game of football and they love everything that comes about it, because the game is hard. It's not easy. And if you want to win, it's very, very challenging. It's one of the most challenging things you'll do in your life, is to put in the work to win in football, because everybody's trying to win. Every game that you win, you beat somebody that's trying to do the same thing you're doing, right? That's not easy. Every game is hard. And we got to continue to push the culture of be a good person, make good decisions, and you got to have more fun working harder than anybody in the country. And what that is you got to love football. You got to wake up every day with a passion about it. And you got to love showing up and lifting and running and puking and doing what you got to do, gaining weight, drinking protein shakes. So you got to be obsessed with it. And that's how we continue the culture.
You got to love football like Tony the Tiger loves Frosted Flakes. Like, that's the type of passion and energy that you need to have. But are you worried about the culture continuing, Totri? Because to me, it's like, now that I feel like the foundation is set, I'm not worried about a whole fresh batch of dudes coming in here, because at the end of the day, you're not here unless Kenny knows you love football and knows that you want to be here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not worried, right? I think there are, at least as it relates to the culture, not worried in the slightest, right? Because like you said, as long as Kenny Dillingham's here, again, you look around, the wide majority of the staff remains the same, at least as it stands right now, December 30th, 2025, going into next season, or at the very soonest spring ball, right? So, with the players that you're going to get, they have to meet the mold of what Kenny Dillingham and Arizona State have built to this point. What does that mean? Well, Kenny told you point blank, period. You got to love football, and it can't just be a hobby for you. You got to be obsessed with the game. You got to love the game. This game has to be your life if you want to be at Arizona State and you want to achieve the things that Kenny Dillingham and this program want to achieve. So you've set a very high bar for yourself, but this is a high bar that's already been set, and I think it's been met. Right. You look at the players that specifically were a part of that first class for Arizona State, not just in the transfer portal, but commits as well. Right. We're talking Keith Abney, who is declared for the 2026 NFL draft. He's going to hear his name called on draft night. You're looking at CJ Fight. Right. CJ Fight has been an instrumental piece in why Arizona State has had a dominant run defense over the last several years. He's going to be returning to Arizona State in 2026. You look across the board, you look at Xavier Alford. We know what he's about, right? As a player, you go back, you look at Shamari Simmons, what he was as a player, and then you kind of just continue to look around over the years. We're talking Justin Watley, Prince Dorba, Clayton Smith, Keyshawn Elliott, Jordan Crook, Jordan Tyson, right? We're talking about players that at Arizona State, I think it was pretty obvious and pretty clear they were obsessed with this game. And it wasn't just the off the field stuff, but it was the on the field stuff too, that really translated in, culture can only get you so far, right? You can have a great culture and be a bad team. Those things are not mutually exclusive. Right. So for Arizona State, I think this culture and this coaching staff have established that, yes, you can also, you can love this game. You can be obsessed with this game. You can be passionate about this game, Erik, but there are certain things on the field as well that you have to meet. And while I have no questions about the culture in and of itself, I think there are obvious questions going into 2026 about holes in the roster. Right. I think those are all fair questions at this point in time. But again, I really don't have any concerns that Arizona State is not only going to fill the needs in terms of the culture in the locker room that you are going to be missing with several key departures, but I also have no doubts that Kenny Dillingham and company are going to fill the holes on this roster at several key positions.
Well, I know we'll keep talking about this after our break here in a second, but you can be a bad team with good culture. I don't think you ever hit your floor as a team with good culture. You know, good culture is kind of this, if you're playing like video games, it's like a boost, right? It's like you got your base level stats, you've got your talent, right? You've got the amount of players that you have and your roster is set. You got bad chemistry, you got bad culture, you're going to underperform what your stats are. You have good culture, you have good chemistry, your baseline is just going to be higher than maybe it would be on paper. So, like this year, with the amount of talent that was missing for this roster at key positions throughout the entire season in a really tough schedule, realistically, you probably could have added like 3 more losses because a lot of these wins were close wins that ASU pulled out at the end. What helped you get through that? That's your culture. That's your chemistry. That's the team bonding that you have, the going to Camp T, and the looking to your left and your right and knowing that you're all on the same page. You all love football. You all love Arizona State.
You're
and
obsessed
you all want
with
to win.
football.
You're obsessed
That's what
with
it's got to be. You can love something, but not be obsessed with it.
Yeah. And I think because you have that baseline, yeah, maybe the rosters won't be as talented. But again, all the way back to the first thing we talked about, which is Kenny's got to do things differently here at Arizona State. Maybe it doesn't have to be the same at your blue bloods that are swimming with 5 stars to the point that they're in your 2 deep, right? It's different when you're in Arizona State and you got to play out of a different talent pool. Still extraordinarily talented players. We're seeing maybe 2 first-round picks leave Arizona State this year.
Yeah.
Right? But it's still a different talent pool. You have that type of baseline and that culture. You're always going to be better than what the paper will tell you.
Yeah, I think that is totally fair. And look, we've hit on the key points from Kenny Dillingham's press conference earlier today. But again, we're less than 24 hours till Arizona State plays its final game of the 2025 season. That is, of course, the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl against the ACC champion Duke Blue Devils. We're going to sink our teeth into that game, some matchups, some predictions, some opt-ins, some opt-outs on the other side of our first break.
Let me tell you about our new friends over at the Window Depot. And I know you hear the name and you think, oh, they've just got windows. Well, they do have windows, but they also have so much more. I'm talking windows, doors, skylights, cabinets, countertops, sinks, all of this inventory and ready to pick up. No gimmicks. They've got the best price and the biggest inventory. Plus, you know we love local here. It's Arizona made and locally trusted with 7 locations around the entire state. Whether you're remodeling your kitchen or tackling a multifamily build, their expert staff and job site ready quantities and no membership policy make it easy to get what you need and to get it fast. You can go to the Window Depot, which is more than a window store, or you can visit them online at thewindowdepot.com and get started on your next project today. That's thewindowdepot.com to get everything you need for any project today.
Look, you all already know Phoenix is one of the best sports cities in America. And this spring, it's about to raise the bar to a whole another level. For the first time ever, I repeat, for the first time ever, NASCAR and NTT IndyCar Series are racing during the same weekend at none other than Phoenix Raceway, and you guys get a front row seat to all of it. Nothing delivers the intensity of race weekend. We're talking the engines firing, the smell of rubber, the crowd erupting as the field charges into turn 1. It's the kind of energy you really have to feel in person to understand. And if you want the best access in motorsports, we're talking going inside the garage, walking the tracks, meeting the drivers. Well, you guys can upgrade to the Desert Diamond Casino infield experience. Of course, there's camping options available as well. Ticket options, hillside view for the Cup race weekend packages that make planning easy. Witness 3 action-packed days of racing. Secure your seats now at the link in our description. Again, you can secure your seats now at the link in our description. IndyCar Series weekend at Phoenix, March 5th. Hit the subscribe button, drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. BC in the chat, why is the show on later? Is this a new time? No, this is not the new time, but because we are on the road, just got to El Paso today. This is what we've got for a showtime. Of course, we will have a pregame show tomorrow. right here live on the PHNX Sports YouTube channel, which means we will have a live post-game show again right here on the PHNX Sports YouTube channel. Rubus will be holding things down back in Phoenix. And then, of course, the Deli Man and I will be live from the Sun Bowl post-game, breaking everything down for the final time in 2025. Wow. Rubus, you start the year on January 1st in Atlanta at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, taking on the Texas Longhorns in the Peach Bowl in the quarterfinals of the college football playoff. And 364 days later, you find yourself in El Paso, Texas, taking on the ACC champion Duke Blue Devils in the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl.
What a 2025 it's been.
Right?
It has been a crazy 2025 for Arizona State. I mean, sure, maybe you'd like to be back in Atlanta playing in a Peach Bowl, but this is still going to be a fun way to end the season. I'm getting more excited about this game the closer we get to it. I think, like you said at the beginning of the show, that there's been so much in between that it's almost been hard to get excited about it. But I think this will be a good test for ASU. And I know we'll talk about some younger names that can step up later in the show, but I'm excited for that. And honestly, like, I think this game's going to get weird.
It's going to get weird.
I think it's going to get
real weird.
I think Duke's going to get weird, but I think Kenny and Marcus are going to get weird.
Yeah, I got a feeling that, I mean, I don't know what Duke's going to do in terms of like a get weird level because they don't have as many opt-outs at key positions as Arizona State does. We'll get into them. Kenny and company are going to have to get weird because you look at some of the opt-outs, Erik, for Arizona State, whether that be players that had opted out for the transfer portal, players that opted out because of, injuries and rehab, or players that opted out for the NFL draft. We're talking about players like a Keith Abney. We're talking about players like a Javen Robinson right there, your two outside perimeter corners up and gone, right? We already know your safety position is thin. It kind of has been all season. You're not getting Xavier Alford back this season. He's played his final game as an Arizona State Sun Devil. He's declared for the NFL draft. No Boogie Wilson for Arizona State. No Clayton Smith for Arizona State. On the offensive side of the ball, I mean, again, no Sam Levitt at quarterback entering the transfer portal. No Jordan Tyson, a good chunk of your offensive line, whether that be Josh Atkins, Ben Coleman, Max Ahanichor, all going to either the league or the transfer portal. So this is going to look, Erik, like a very different Arizona State offense and defense.
Yeah, it's gonna almost be weird. That's not gonna almost be weird. It's gonna be weird.
It's gonna be like you went to an ice cream parlor and you ordered a hot fudge sundae and they came back with like a strawberry banana smoothie. That's what this is going to be like. That's what it's going to feel like. And let's get something perfectly clear. You can go ask for a hot fudge sundae and it can be fire, and you can get a strawberry banana smoothie. It can also be fire.
Sure. And that's kind of what I want to say too. Like, it almost takes the pressure off of this a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Like it makes this maybe even more enjoyable because now you could sit here, you could be like, I'm just waiting to see who it is going to be that's going to step up. And it's like Duke has no film to go off of. Like Duke has no film. It's like, okay, who are we going to prepare for? Like you got Jeff Sims. Okay. Not even Jeff Sims know what Jeff Sims is going to do on any given play. So I don't even know how much your film is going to help you with that. You don't have Jordan.
A solid 28 minutes in before Rubus took a shot at Jeff Sims.
In a good and in a bad way. He might be the best quarterback you've ever seen on a play.
Yeah,
he might set a school record, right? Like you can't prepare for that stuff. But like it's gonna be fun because I don't think Duke's gonna know what's coming, and honestly, maybe ASU doesn't either. Like it's gonna be like, who knows what we're gonna do? Let's just go out there and let's just have some fun.
Yeah, I mean, that's all you can do at this point, right, is have fun. Obviously, Arizona State, not the only team dealing with opt-outs. You look at some of the opt-outs for Duke ahead of the Sun Bowl on Wednesday. Their right tackle, Brian Parker II, one of their corners, Chandler Rivers, and then defensive end Vincent Anthony Jr. have opted out of the game. In addition, some of the injuries that the Blue Devils have been dealing with. Corner Kamari Robinson, who did miss the ACC title game. Defensive end Bryce Davis, who also missed the ACC title game. And then safety Terry Moore has been out all season. Now, the biggest one here for Duke, which could benefit Arizona State, is that you look at one of those names, Vincent Anthony Jr., statistically the most disruptive edge rusher that the Duke Blue Devils have, 13 TFLs and 7.5 sacks on the season. Not to mention Chandler Rivers, also a big production corner for Duke. Not going to be there. And Erik, it's already a suspect Duke defense. It has been all season. And now you take away their premier edge rusher and one of their premier corners. This feels like a perfect opportunity for Arizona State's offense. Ironically enough, a group that hasn't been able to really plug it in all season long to get it right going out of 2025.
Yeah, this is a really bad Duke defense. I went over it with Ralph on Friday, and he broke down there are a couple of players who have like 50% of their total yards on the season against Duke. Duke fully healthy could not stop a nosebleed. 14th in total yards in the ACC, 14th in passing yards allowed, 12th in rushing yards allowed.
And the ACC's ass, let's just be real.
I mean, we're talking a bottom 3 team in every single statistical category.
In the worst Power 4 conference in the country.
They won, though.
They did. They did win.
Right, which, again, like, this is still a decent Duke team, but Arizona State clearly has the defensive advantage here, even missing all of their players. I just think that their baseline for defense is so much higher than what Duke's has shown, especially because we've seen Arizona State's defense step up when guys are maybe not in your 2 deep and all of a sudden they are playing, whether it is because of injuries this season or we've seen over the last couple of seasons because of targeting or whatever it might be. We've seen guys make plays, not even the starters on Duke really make plays. And so losing a couple of key and critical pieces, your top end pieces for a defense like Duke is going to be more impactful than losing your top end pieces for Arizona State, because what you have below them is not nearly good enough, because they were already not nearly good enough. I think it is going to be interesting to see how one-dimensional will Arizona State's offense be, just because if Jeff Sims is on the money throwing the ball and you've got a couple other receivers, maybe Jaron Hamilton has himself a game, maybe Derek Eusebio has himself a game.
Malik McLean.
My guy, Malik McLean, going out with a bang in college football.
Going out with a McLean.
Going out with a McLean. If Arizona State's offense cannot be one-dimensional, I don't really know what Duke can do to stop them. In theory, because obviously we have this many injuries, especially the offensive line injuries. It's like, who knows? But I don't know. I just have faith in this team to overcome, the losses that they have had.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Sharon asking, is Jalen Moss playing? Yes, from everything we've seen, it appears Jalen Moss will play. Jaron Hamilton.
Let's back up. Is Jalen Moss real?
Jalen Moss is a real person. He's a real player. We've seen him play, Shane. He's going to play in the game.
Does he exist in the plane of reality that we're in El Paso?
To my knowledge, yes.
Have you seen him?
No.
Okay.
No.
Then we're not 100%.
We are not 100% sure that Jalen Moss is in El Paso, but by all standards, I assume he is. Yes, Erik.
Tanya Uda didn't practice, huh? I saw they didn't practice on Sunday. On Sunday.
I wasn't there for Sunday's practice, so I can't report on that. He's practiced up until then.
Do we think he plays?
I think he plays.
Because
I think he plays.
That is.
If he doesn't play, then he doesn't play, and you're going to get Jason Brown Jr. and you're going to get Man, and you're going to get Grayson Rigdon. Like, it is what it is at this point. Like, there are 2 positions that Arizona State is going to be wildly thin at, and I don't think the fan base truly understands, and they won't understand until you see it on TV tomorrow or if you're at the stadium, and that's running back and that is corner. Those 2 positions for Arizona State are thin as can be for the Sun Devils, and I think offensively it's something that they'll be able to handle because, again, like we just talked about, Duke defensively is their cheeks. They're horrible, right? Run defense, pass defense, doesn't matter. But if we're talking about Arizona State's defense, that is going to be the more interesting watch, I think, because a lot of the opt-outs for Duke, Erik, do fall on the defensive side of the ball. A good chunk of their big production players on offense are going to be playing. Of course, their quarterback is going to be out there. So you should have what is a Duke offense that as of late has been trending in the right direction. Again, won the ACC championship. against a defense in Arizona State that, yes, we feel confident in the scheme. Yes, we feel confident in a couple players who are going to be playing in that game, like a CJ Fight. Still some major questions specifically in the secondary and when it comes to the defensive line.
Yeah, yeah. Duke has the chance to put up a lot of points because it's not just that they have the talent and not just that they've been trending in the right direction. They've been scoring all season.
Yeah.
All season, they're putting points on the board. And in fact, I have a question for you that I'm going to ask on the other side of our second break. Listen, we love telling you about our friends over at the Husband and Wife Law Team as well. You always want to do your research in life. But lucky for you, we've done the research for whether you need a lawyer for a personal injury or wrongful death. Because Mark and Alexis Breyer, well, not only are they committed to the community, but their team brings hundreds of years of combined trial experience, multiple certified specialists in personal injury and wrongful death. Plus, they actually go to trial. And if any case really needs it, they are ready. Plus, they're happy to make you and all their clients guarantees. Now, nobody can guarantee the outcome of a legal case, but they promise to always be upfront about the strengths and the weaknesses of your case so that you can make an informed decision. Plus, they promise you'll receive at least as much in your pocket as they receive for their fee, even if they have to reduce their attorney's fee to do so. So if you've had a serious injury, it's important you call the Husband and Wife Law Team first at 602-783-8841 or visit their website at the link in our show notes and tell them that PHNX sent you.
Look, the Deli Man and I have only been in El Paso for, 6-7 hours at this point. And I'll tell you what, we have already seen a number of branded Bills hats. Heck, we even had people giving us branded Bills hats when we got here, of course, repping Arizona State. So if you're somebody that is big into hats, snapbacks, etc., well, look no further than our friends over at Branded Bills, some of the best headwear in the game. And again, whether you need those snapbacks, truckers, fitteds, beanies, or tees, Branded Bills, they've got you covered with performance and style. Of course, our very own Erik Ruby, I mean, at this point, he needs his own collection of Branded Bills hats, specifically as it relates to Arizona State, because they have what feels like 15 to 20, maybe more different versions of just Arizona State hats. So the next time you show up to a tailgate, the next time you show up to a local bar, make sure you are repping Branded Bills, those Arizona State hats. Head to brandedbills.com and use that code BBPHNX for 15% off your first order. Like button, hit the subscribe button, drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. All right, Rubus, what do you got for me?
Do you know how many points per game Duke averaged this year?
Ooh. On offense?
Yes.
I'm going to go ahead and say
it's a round number.
It's a round number.
Wow. On the dot, they average this number.
34.
Wow.
Was it 34?
That literally on the dot. Wow. Get out of here, bro. Get out of here.
That's incredible.
Yeah. Are you serious? You didn't know?
I swear to God. No.
That was a total guess.
I had no idea.
El Paso Totri is absolutely built different.
That's what we do, man.
34.
Wow. That is surprising, though. That is surprising that they've been able to do that.
Do you know on average how many points per game Arizona State is allowed this season?
I know that's not a round number.
No.
Around 28 point something.
23.7.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, defensively, we know what this team has been.
Yeah. It is going to be a very interesting battle between those two teams. Yeah, Arizona State is going to be depleted on the defensive end, but there's just something, man. There is just something about this defense where teams walk in like Texas Tech, right? Texas Tech is just unstoppable on the offensive end. They get slowed down. They get put in the mud. And it's weird. I'm talking. They're one of the teams that gets a lot, I think almost like 300 yards passing put up against them every single game. So that's been a pretty clear weakness, and that is Duke's strength because they have a really good quarterback that I think is going to maybe be the biggest difference maker tomorrow. If Darian Mensah's dealing, it's going to be tough for Arizona State to match what Duke is going to be able to put on the board.
Yeah, I mean, Dilly called him an NFL quarterback today, right? Like this is somebody that I think you've seen that. He's a quarterback that's won a conference championship in a major conference. I think that's something that you certainly have to put some weight into. And he wants to win this bowl game, right? And I think for Arizona State, there are going to be some folks that are looking at the guys that are playing for the Sun Devils and saying, oh, this is going to be, a real challenge for the Sun Devils. And I think that's fair, that especially on defense, it's going to be a little bit of a challenge, but it's also going to be a glimpse into the future, right? I think this is a major opportunity for Arizona State, for this coaching staff to quite frankly, see what you have at some of these key positions with just a few days until the transfer portal opens, where you're going to get a look at these young corners, these young safeties that you've chosen to add, whether that be through recruiting classes or through the transfer portal, right? You look at Kyan McDonald, somebody that's going to get some run tomorrow. You look at a player like Tony Lewis and Cuba, like Joseph Smith, like Albert Smith, like Martell Hughes that we've seen a number of times already. You're going to get to see these guys now in a major game on a national stage in front of, a city that is just ready for some football. So I think that's going to be exciting. And for the fan base, it's exciting to see that you are going to get this opportunity to take a glimpse into what the future looks like with some of these potential building blocks. I think the major question is, will it be enough, right? This is an Arizona State team that, like we mentioned off the top, is going to be without their most key players, right? Keith Abney, Jordan Tyson, Sam Levitt, the list kind of goes on and on. I know Wes Beasy in the chat says it looks like Kanye Udo will not play in this game tomorrow. I cannot confirm that report at this point in time, considering we just got to El Paso today, so we weren't at practice. Mm-hmm. But if that is the case, then again, your young weapons on offense, your young players, not only are you going to get a look at what you have, but this is going to be some very, very valuable game time experience for these guys, Erik.
This game doesn't count towards red shirts, right?
No.
Okay, so could we see like a Joshua Shanklin?
You could. Yeah. I mean, Joshua Shanklin at this point in time hasn't even played a game. So, yeah, you could see him regardless.
I mean, that would
be, this game did mean something.
That's fair. That'd be exciting. I'd like to see Shanklin on the line, get a look at him and what he might be able to bring. On the offensive side of the ball, can I get a little AJ Ia? One of my guys?
You'll see AJ Ia.
Yeah, I'm excited. And that's the thing is, like, I'm excited for that, man. Like, I am excited. And it's not just the game, though. I mean, Kenny said it today in his press conference. It's not just about playing tomorrow. They basically had like a mini spring ball, right? Yeah. They had a lot of practices that they were able to evaluate and scout these guys and be able to now go into the transfer portal period so much more prepared. And you know what? These kids are probably just getting better too. And so maybe you thought, hey, we're going to need to shore up this position a little bit more. But so-and-so has been playing really well through this. They go out there and they perform tomorrow. Well, that might change the coaching staff's opinion on where they need to target, what money they need to spend and where. This is valuable. Now, I know that Kenny also talked about programs opting out of bowl games. And I think, honestly, given the amount of talent that is not there for Arizona State and how injured this roster has been, I wouldn't have blamed this team for opting out of a bowl game. But I think
they were never going to eat that $500,000 fine.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, like, in general, like, I wouldn't have blamed them for.
Yeah, they should have. Like, if it were me, if I were running the program, which I'm not, we're taking the $500,000 fine.
Yeah,
right. You're on the 2026. It's the Sun Bowl. Like, again, this is just me. This is just me making that decision based off of injuries, rehab, players leaving, etc. But the hindsight to that, or right, the other side of that coin, right, is you don't get those bowl practices.
Yeah,
which, like you said, it's a mini spring ball, which is super, super valuable to some of these young players, which who knows, maybe these 12, 13, 14 practices could be wildly beneficial to their development by the time March rolls around and you get another version of spring ball, right? So, like, there are pros, there are cons to it, but I'm with you. I don't think anybody would have blamed Arizona State if they opted out of this game.
Well, and I think we focus on the young guys so much, but there are some vets that are playing their last college football game. Like, this will be Jeff Sims' last college football game. With what Duke's weaknesses are, especially on defense, you could see Jeff Sims have a really big game on the ground. Like we mentioned, like Anthony Cooper, the most veteran of veterans, right? You've got Malik McClain, who was playing in his last college football game. Justin Watley, right? Jordan Crook. These are guys that have said, yeah, we're going to go out there, we're going to play, we're going to finish what we started. You still got talent. You still have leaders. CJ Fight, reports, I don't know if it's official yet, is like reportedly going to be playing tomorrow. So it's not like every single position is somebody who hasn't played college football. You still have some of your best talent and some of your most veteran players who are going to be looking to end their college football career with a win. Let's also not forget the last time that these guys were on the field and what happened and how upset that's made them and how hungry they are going to be to finish their career with a win instead of 2 straight losses. This is going to mean a lot to those guys. And I think you're going to get a couple of really big performances from some of the vets.
1,000%. 1,000%. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. We're going to be getting into heat index and predictions here in just a second. But Rubus, before we do that, a couple quick hitters. I want to get to Teller's super chat from earlier saying probably lots of penalties, too many new players. You think that, but Erik, we saw a lot of penalties already, whether it's vets or anybody else. So is it going to be more? Maybe. At this point in time, I don't really have a over-under on penalties. Like, I think it almost could be cleaner just because there's such an emphasis, right? Think of it. If you're a young player, the last thing that you want to do going into this game is get called for like a false start or something.
Yeah, I'll take the over on whatever the over is.
You're going to take the over on the penalties? What do we want to set it at?
Over.
What do we want to set it at, Dillingham? Do you have a line in your head here of like, okay, this is the over-under on penalties?
6.5.
For ASU?
Yeah.
I'm taking the under. I'm taking the
over.
What are you taking, Dillingham?
They're going to go 7 for 85.
Wow, so you're taking the
a lot
over.
of personal fouls.
Wow. Personal fouls. We're headhunting in this game.
Ryan McDonald. Oh my God.
Oh no. That's tough.
They got Tony the Tiger in a suplex.
Lord, Tony El Tigre. Look, before we hit our final break, one thing I am
sorry. I just really want to say this.
Yeah.
I would love to get a targeting penalty on Tony the Tiger.
For you personally?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I think it would hurt your head.
Potentially. I mean, good. No comment from the Daily Man? No comment. I am super, super happy that we get this opportunity to congratulate and to hype up one of our very own in this PHNX family, and that is Wes Beasy, whose son, Champ Westbrooks, is set to start his first Division I bowl game for Arizona State at right tackle. It is I'm pumped. I'm pumped for everybody to see Champ Westbrooks out there. Erik, I think that is an absolute awesome accomplishment, not just for the family. And I'm not just saying this because Wes Beasy is always in our chat. But Champ Westbrooks, I think, is somebody who has day in, day out really showed that he is a Sun Devil through and through. Reminds me a lot of CJ Fight early on in his career.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Let's not be one of the 8 for 75 or whatever Shane just said. But no, I'm super excited. And I know that Wes Beasy is too. And that's a position of need right now for Arizona State, not just for this game, but for the future as well. You're going to get a nice long look, and they're going to need him to block well. Again, this Duke defense is not that great, but Arizona State still is going to, I'm pretty sure they're the underdog, right? They're still going in the underdog to this game. You're going to need to establish that run game. You're going to need to be able to protect Jeff Sims so that Jeff Sims can make the best decision possible. There's going to be a lot riding on Champ's shoulders going into his first start. It's going to be pretty exciting to watch. I've got a lot of faith that he's going to be able to show up and perform.
Well, look, we're going to get into heat index and predictions on the other side of our final break. Look, 2025 is almost behind us, and 2026 will be here before you know it. So why not kick off the new year with a nice staycation over at Gila River Resorts and Casinos? Any of their locations will do. Of course, my personal favorite is Wild Horse Pass. Now, a little biased because, of course, we do a bunch of PHNX events, Suns watch parties. We always do our PHNX fantasy football draft over at Wild Horse Pass. But like I said, any of their locations will suffice. Wild Horse Pass, Lone Butte, Santan Mountain, Vequiva, to experience that the best that the Valley has to offer. My favorite thing about Gila River Resorts and Casinos is that it doesn't really matter who you are or what you like. They got something for everybody. If you want to go play and win money, well, you could do that on the gaming floor. If you want to kick your feet up and watch the games, well, you could do that at the sports book, or maybe you could hang out by the hot tub, or maybe go get a steak dinner. Doesn't matter. There's something for everybody over at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Go big and go home a winner. You do you. at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Make sure you visit playatgila.com for more details.
Tomorrow is New Year's Eve, which means you'll be ringing in the New Year's, and I'm sure a lot of you are going to be partying and also watching a football game during the day. There's no better spirit to go with the end of 2025 than our friends over at Three Amigos, because we cheer hard, we celebrate harder, and sometimes we need to drown our sorrows when our team loses, and there's no better way to do it than with a family-owned tequila right here in the Valley, founded in 1939 and crafted in Mexico with 100% blue Weber agave. It's award-winning for a reason. You can taste it in every sip, whether, of course, it's the Blanco that we like to use in our mixed drinks, or maybe a little bit of Añejo if you just want to get to sip in some tequila. Plus, that Blanco that I just mentioned, well, guess what? It's now available at our favorite spot, Circle K. So this season and the off season and pretty much any time of the year, tailgate, toast, and celebrate with the Valley's favorite tequila. Of course, it's Three Amigos.
Hit the subscribe button, drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts. Rubus, without further ado, for the final time this 2025 season, it is time for the Heat Index. If you're new here, Heat Index, just a few players that we think need to go out on big games if the Sun Devils are going to get a dub. Starting in that thin secondary, Rubus, I'm looking at a guy like Joseph Smith. Joseph Smith is somebody with Keith Abney been out and Javen Robinson hitting the portal. You've seen a lot of Joseph Smith in practice, somebody that I've been relatively impressed with. Not the only one in that secondary, looking at Tony Lewis and Kuba as well, but a lot's going to be riding on Joseph Smith and what he's able to do individually to maybe slow down this Duke passing offense.
Yeah, especially with the talent that Duke has out there, not just throwing the ball, but catching the ball as well. And look, Brian Ward's defense is a unit. It's a system. Like it is interchangeable pieces, not in the sense that everybody is the same when they perform, but your job is your job, right? You have been training to do the same thing all season long, and now it's your time to play. Well, the guy in front of you is doing the same thing, which does lend itself to some success when you have guys who do step up and step in, and hopefully with just the talent level, the athleticism that Joseph Smith has, maybe it's just a seamless fit for him. It's going to be a tough challenge, though. He's going to get targeted. They're going to try to get picked apart, because that is definitely where Duke is going to be focusing a lot of their energy, is going to be in the passing game, considering how depleted that that depth chart is.
Yeah, 1,000%. We talk about a position group that's depleted, right, in that secondary, not just at corner, but you look on the last level of defense in the safety room as well. I think that's going to be wildly important. But maybe one of the strengths of this Arizona State team up front in the interior of that defensive line, a number of those guys going to be playing their final games. Talk Justin Watley, Jacob Kangaika, etc. But maybe the most impactful, and somebody that I certainly think needs to have a big day in the Sun Bowl if the Sun Devils are going to get their 20th win over the last 2 seasons combined. And that is, of course, number 99 himself, CJ Fight. I got 3 fire emojis for him, because this guy has been a staple of the Arizona State defense. And he's been somebody that, even though he's been such a vocal leader, or just been a leader in general, maybe not so much as vocal as just letting his game kind of speak for himself, he's been able to look behind him in previous years and see Xavier Alford, see Keith Abney, see some of those guys that aren't going to be out there in the Sun Bowl against Duke. A lot is going to be riding on CJ Fight and you know what he's capable of doing in terms of making Duke a one-dimensional offense.
You know the Will Smith meme where he's looking around in the house and he's just like, where the hell is everything? That's CJ Fight right now. He's looking around. He's like, yo,
where is everybody?
Where'd everybody go? But one way to make life easier on these younger Sun Devils who are going to be getting their first opportunity is going to be drawing attention to yourself, right? Not only CJ Fight, but a couple of the other veterans on this defensive side of the ball can do that, but he is still probably the best player, maybe on the field for Arizona State tomorrow. Drawing two off of the line to him, opening up other gaps for younger players to maybe take advantage of, or take advantage of weaker one-on-ones. That's going to be really massive. And you might not think that that plays into a Joseph Smith or the secondary or the linebackers, but it does. If CJ Fight can pressure Darian Mensah and make him move, if they can make him uncomfortable, if he can collapse the offensive line, which he does single-handedly have the ability to do himself, that's just a domino effect to make everything easier for everybody. He won't have the help that he's had before, right? He won't have the other guys coming off of the edge that also command a ton of attention, but he is still one of those dudes, whether they're next to him or not. He will maybe be the singular most important piece wearing white and gold tomorrow for ASU.
Yeah, I think that's 1,000% a fair statement. And ironically enough, for our last heat index in 2025, I think this might be the first time that we have a clean sweep in terms of key players on one side of the football. And that is Albert Smith rounding out our final heat index of the 2025 season, a young edge rusher who, in my mind, has a lot to put on display here. This is somebody with no Clayton Smith around him anymore. Elijah O'Neal is done in terms of eligibility. There is a massive hole for edge rusher for this Arizona State defense. And Albert Smith, for the last year, I would say, has been somebody that myself and others have been saying, hey, just wait. We see it in practice from time in, time out during the games. He has made some impact plays, but now I think he's going to have his a full opportunity. And I think Albert Smith is certainly going to take advantage of that. I'm super pumped to see what he's able to do on the field tomorrow.
He's got all the tools. I mean, if you're going to bet on maybe one of these young players being ready to show up and make an instant discernible impact, he's a good bet.
He's got to be, right? You absolutely have to have him, CJ, and again, Joseph Smith contribute on the defensive side of the ball. And again, that's not saying those are the only players that need to have big days for the Sun Devils to beat Duke, but they're certainly three of the most impactful. And Erik, I don't want to get emotional on you. For the last time, though, in 2025, we're going to be doing our predictions for this Arizona State football team. Again,
until pregame tomorrow.
Pregame tomorrow. You're right. We started the year talking about Texas and Arizona State with our predictions there, and we're rounding them off here, Arizona State and Duke. What do you have? Who's coming out on top tomorrow in the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl?
It wouldn't be a 2025 Arizona State football game if it didn't end 27-24.
Fair,
I've got Arizona State taking home the victory over Duke. We got some people in the chat saying it's going to be a high-scoring affair. I think this game gets ugly. Give me 27-24. Arizona State ends on a high note.
I love it. I love the fact that it wouldn't be an Arizona State season if it didn't end 27-24. I got a very similar score line here. I got 24-21. We both think that this is a field goal game. Look, I could see this game being, 45-42. I could see this game being 10-7. But I'm going to rock with 24-21. I think at the end of the day, these are two teams. They've got their pros, they've got their cons. But at the end of the day, it's tough to predict a bowl game when you haven't seen a number of these guys go against D1 athletes in a game atmosphere. So anything's on the table. I think it's going to be super, super exciting. Again, we are going to be doing a pregame show tomorrow morning, lead you straight into kickoff between Arizona State and Duke in the 2025 Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl. We'll be doing a postgame show following that game, probably, half hour, 45 minutes after that final whistle. We're going to be getting some post-game sound, so it should take us maybe a little bit longer to get up and live than normal. So just be aware of that. And, of course, on social, we're going to have you guys absolutely covered head to toe with all things going on Arizona State ahead of that matchup against Duke. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts. And if you want to continue to follow us on social heading into the new year, give the show a follow. At PHNX _Sun Devils. You can follow me at Anthony _Totri. You could follow the once driver of this car turned back into passenger princess. That is, of course, Erik Ruby. You can follow him at Erik Ruby. It's Erik with a K. And you can follow the Deli Man at Shane Dief.
Saying Derek Eusebio's name because it wasn't mentioned on today's podcast. As always, reminder, he's from Plano, Texas. And
we will see you guys for a pregame show and a postgame show on Wednesday. In the meantime, go Devils. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.